In the silence of your heart, a celestial force calls to you. Archangel Michael brings an urgent message, guided by divine light. Something grand has been ordained for you at this moment. Open this now and discover what heaven has to reveal. But first, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. You who now read these words, it was not by chance that you arrived here. Your eyes did not fall upon these lines by mere coincidence. A greater force, a transcendental light, guided your path to this message. Archangel Michael, the celestial guardian and divine protector, ordered that this calling reach you at this exact moment in your life. Feel the warmth of this truth coursing through your body now. Notice how your heart slightly quickens as you absorb these words. This sensation is not common, not ordinary. It is your soul's recognition of a divine truth that resonates in your deepest being. Today, at this precise moment, the veil separating worlds becomes thinner. The distance between the earthly and the celestial diminishes, allowing this message to cross dimensions and reach exactly who needs to hear it, and that someone is you. You are about to experience an unprecedented transformation in your life. The gears of the universe are already in motion, working silently to realign your path and open portals of blessings that until now have remained closed. Like the dawn that inevitably appears after the darkest night, your renewal has already begun to emerge on the horizon. Look back for a moment. Remember the struggles, the sleepless nights, the tears shed when no one was watching. Recall the moments when your strength seemed to fade, when the weight on your shoulders seemed unbearable. Each of these trials, each moment of difficulty, was not in vain. They were preparations, divine forgings, tempering your spirit for the harvest time that now approaches. Archangel Michael, in his infinite wisdom, saw your effort when no one else could see. He witnessed your perseverance when everyone doubted. He noticed your faith when even you questioned whether you still possessed it. And now, he brings a celestial decree. Your time of trial is coming to an end. Feel the vibration of these words, resonating in your chest. Close your eyes for a moment and allow this truth to penetrate every cell of your being. Something extraordinary is about to happen in your life. A divine intervention is already underway, moving like a powerful river in your direction, breaking down barriers and obstacles that have long prevented your progress. Doors that were locked are beginning to open. Paths that seemed blocked are beginning to clear. Blessings that seemed destined for others finally find the address of your heart. This is not just a moment of change, it's a divine revolution in your existence. You may not yet see it with your physical eyes, but your soul already recognizes this truth. Like the seed that still underground already feels the sun's warmth and begins its germination process, your soul has already begun its awakening to this new reality that approaches. The signs are already around you. Small daily miracles, inexplicable coincidences, unexpected encounters, sudden ideas that seem to come from nowhere. These are all manifestations of this new energy that now surrounds your life. Archangel Michael tells you today, rise from the dust of past disappointments. Stand up from the ground of previous defeats. Shake the dust of unbelief and doubt from your garments. Your time of restoration has come. Believe these words, even if your rational mind tries to question them. Human logic is limited in understanding divine movements. Celestial wisdom operates in dimensions that transcend common understanding. How could a caterpillar comprehend what it means to transform into a butterfly before the metamorphosis happens? Similarly, you still cannot fully envision the magnitude of the transformation you are about to experience. But know this: when Archangel Michael decrees a change, celestial forces immediately take action. Legions of angels have already been assigned to work in your favor. Spiritual armies have already received orders to remove obstacles from your path. Time itself now conspires to accelerate your blessings. You will feel this change first within. An inexplicable peace will begin to flood your heart, even amid external turbulence. Mental clarity will emerge, allowing you to see solutions where you previously only saw problems. Renewed energy will fill your being, replacing the chronic fatigue that has accompanied you for so long. What seemed impossible yesterday will become attainable today. What you considered a distant dream will begin to materialize before your eyes. The pieces of your life's puzzle, which for so long seemed disconnected, will begin to fit into a divine pattern, revealing the greater purpose that was always there, just waiting for the right moment to manifest. Don't fear this transformation. Don't resist this wave of renewal. Open yourself like a flower surrendering to the sun's rays, confident in its blooming. Surrender to this process with the confidence of one who knows they are being guided by divine hands. See, now with the eyes of your soul, how your circumstances begin to change. That debt that tormented you, it will find a solution. That health problem that afflicted you, it will be overcome. That broken relationship that left scars, it will be restored or replaced by something even more meaningful. That opportunity, that seemed forever lost, it will return, expanded and perfected. Archangel Michael not only brings this message of transformation, but also offers his sword of light to cut the ties that bind you to the past. Visualize now this celestial sword, bright and powerful, cutting the invisible chains that kept you bound to painful memories, limiting patterns, self-destructive beliefs, toxic relationships. Feel the immediate relief of this liberation. Notice how your breathing becomes deeper and freer. Observe how your shoulders relax, free from the weight they carried. Note how your posture naturally straightens, as if your physical body is already responding to this new spiritual reality. The waiting. Time is over. The almost there time has ended. The maybe someday time has expired. Now is the time of already, of now, of finally. Your hour has come. Your harvest season has begun. Your spiritual spring has dawned. The tears you shed were not in vain. Each one was collected in celestial vials, transforming into seeds of blessings that now begin to germinate in your life. The sacrifices you made were not forgotten. Each one was recorded in the book of life, transforming into spiritual credits that now begin to be redeemed in your favor. The prayers that seemed not to rise above the ceiling of your room were heard. Each word was captured by divine ears and now returns as a manifest response. Prepare to receive. Open your hands, open your heart, open your mind. What is to come will exceed your expectations, surpass your requests, outdo your boldest dreams. Like an overflowing river that cannot be contained by narrow banks, so will the blessings that flow in your direction. You will see doors opening without having to knock. You will see people arriving to help you without having to ask. You will see resources materializing without having to fight for them. You will see recognition coming without having to announce it. This is the power of celestial intervention. It operates at levels that transcend human efforts. Do not be deceived into thinking that this transformation will be merely spiritual or emotional. It will be comprehensive, reaching every aspect of your existence. Your physical health will experience renewal. Your finances will know abundance. Your relationships will experience restoration. Your career will witness elevation. Your mind will enjoy enlightenment. Your soul will savor deep peace. Archangel Michael does not bring empty promises or unfounded hopes. He brings celestial decrees, divine orders, spiritual commands that are already being executed behind the scenes of your life. The angels have already been dispatched. The blessings have already been released. The miracles have already been authorized. It remains only for you to receive them with faith and gratitude. Believe this message as if it were the last truth you needed to hear. Embrace this word as if it were the last advice you needed to follow. Trust this promise as if it were the last hope you needed to embrace. For when you truly believe, you activate the power of faith. And faith is the force that moves mountains, divides seas, resurrects dreams, and materializes miracles. If you feel that this message speaks directly to your heart, if you perceive that these words have a special meaning for your life at this moment, if you recognize that you were guided here by a force greater than yourself, then know that this is your confirmation. This is your sign. This is your evidence that Archangel Michael truly ordered that this message reach you. Do not allow doubts to obscure this truth. Do not let skepticism rob this hope. Do not consent to negative voices, whether external or internal, diminishing the power of this promise. Cling to it as a castaway clings to a lifeline amid the storm. The moment is now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when circumstances seem more favorable. Now, at this exact moment. As your eyes scan these lines, as your heart absorbs these truths, the decree has already been signed, the order has already been given, the process has already begun. You will begin to notice confirmation signs around you, small synchronicities, meaningful words heard apparently by chance, revealing dreams during the night, powerful insights during the day. Don't ignore them. Don't dismiss them as coincidences. They are all part of the divine tapestry being woven in your life. Remember, just as night precedes dawn, your victory is closer than ever. The darkest moments always precede the breaking of dawn. When the night seems densest, it is a sign that day is about to be born. You have already crossed the valley. You have already traversed the desert. You have already withstood the storm. Now is the time to contemplate the sunrise of your new reality. Feel the lightness in your heart as the chains of fear break. Notice how the anxiety that accompanied you begins to dissipate like fog under the morning sun. Observe how the uncertainty that clouded your thoughts begins to give way to crystal clarity about your path. Archangel Michael, with his sword of light, not only cuts what needs to be eliminated, but also illuminates what needs to be seen. He reveals paths that were hidden, unveiling possibilities that were concealed, clarifying purposes that were obscured. Receive this illumination. Allow this celestial light to permeate your mind, revealing innovative ideas, creative solutions, divine strategies for the challenges you face. Let this light penetrate your heart, bringing healing for old wounds, restoration for damaged areas, renewal for abandoned dreams. With each beat of your heart, with each breath you take, the new reality becomes more consolidated. The old passes away, the new arrives. Old structures crumble, new foundations are established. What was dead is resurrected. What was dormant awakens, what was lost is found. You are not alone in this journey of transformation. Thousands of celestial beings accompany you, invisible to physical eyes, but perceptible to the sensitivity of the soul. They surround you like a protective army, like a divine support team, like a spiritual safety net. When you advance with confidence toward this new reality, all of heaven moves with you. When you take a step of faith toward your transformation, angelic forces multiply the power of this movement. When you choose to believe these promises, celestial energies align to manifest them in your life. Archangel Michael tells you now, don't look back. Don't dwell on past failures. Don't define yourself by yesterday's mistakes. Don't limit yourself by previous defeats. That chapter is closed. That page has been turned. That story has ended. A new narrative begins today. A story of victory, of overcoming, of divine manifestation. You are more than your struggles. You are greater than your problems. You transcend your circumstances. You are not defined by what you face, but by the divine strength that resides within you. This strength now awakens, expands, and manifests. If you believe this message is for you, if you feel these words have a special meaning for your life at this precise moment, write in the comments, I receive this blessing. This is not just a symbolic act. It is a declaration of faith, an affirmation of your receptivity, a spiritual positioning that activates the flow of blessings in your direction. Heaven awaits your response. The universe awaits your positioning. The divine longs for your conscious participation in this process, for although grace is free, it needs to be received. Although the blessing is available, it needs to be welcomed. Although the miracle is authorized, it needs to find an open heart to manifest. Open yourself now. Surrender to this process. Give yourself to this transformation. Like wax that melts to receive the royal seal, allow your being to soften to receive the divine seal that marks the beginning of your new reality. Like the earth that opens to receive the promising seed, let your life open to welcome the celestial seeds that will bring abundant harvests. From this moment on, observe each day, with new eyes attentive to the signs of transformation. Be alert to the gradual manifestations of this divine revolution in your life. Keep your heart sensitive to the subtle evidence that heaven is operating in your favor. And remember, when Archangel Michael decrees a transformation, nothing in heaven or earth can prevent it from manifesting for those who receive it with faith. No contrary force, no adverse circumstance, no human resistance can stop the fulfillment of this celestial decree. Your transformation has already begun. Your miracle is already underway. Your blessing has already been released. Your healing is already happening. Your prosperity is already on its way. Your restoration is already in process. Your elevation has already been determined. Receive, believe, trust, advance. This is your hour. This is your time. This is your season of divine manifestation. Now that the first flame has been lit in your spirit, it's time to look within. It's the moment to contemplate the depths of your being and question what truly shapes your existence. You have received. The call felt the touch of divine awakening, but how much of this message has really penetrated beyond the surface of your consciousness? Allow yourself, for an instant, to pause. Breathe deeply. Let silence envelop your thoughts. In this moment of quietude, ask yourself, what has really guided my life until now? Have I followed the call of my soul, or merely responded to the world's expectations? Have I listened to the soft voice that speaks within me, or only to the deafening noise of external pressures? These are not superficial questions. They are portals to deep self-knowledge. They are keys that unlock compartments of your soul that may have remained closed for years, decades, or even your entire life. It is in the silence of these reflections that you will find truths that no external voice could reveal. Look at your journey until now. See not just the events, but the patterns that repeat. Observe not only the circumstances, but the choices you made when faced with them. Contemplate not just the results, but the intentions that preceded them. This exercise in self-awareness is not for judgment, but for liberation, not for condemnation, but for transformation. How many times have you allowed fear to dictate your decisions? How many opportunities have you let pass because the voice of insecurity spoke louder than the voice of faith? How many dreams have you abandoned on the altar of impossible, sacrificed by the sharp knife of disbelief? This is not a moment to blame yourself, but to awaken yourself. It's not time to lament the past, but to recognize patterns you no longer wish to repeat in the future. How could a seed germinate without first breaking its own shell? How could a butterfly emerge without first dissolving the structures of its former existence as a caterpillar? True transformation always begins with an honest confrontation with yourself. It's looking in the mirror of the soul and seeing not only what you have become, but also what you are destined to be. It's recognizing both your shadow and your light, knowing that both are part of your journey, both contribute to your growth. Ask yourself, what has occupied your heart in the first hours of the morning and in the last moments before sleep? Where do your thoughts dwell when they are not occupied with tasks or distractions? For it is there, in that intimate space of your consciousness, that you will find your true values, your real priorities, your authentic beliefs. Many live an entire life without ever asking these fundamental questions. Many traverse decades following scripts written by others, pursuing dreams that aren't theirs, living lives they didn't consciously choose. But you were called for more. You were awakened to a conscious existence, to an intentional journey, to a purpose aligned with your true essence. Archangel Michael not only brings external transformation, he invites an internal revolution. He not only offers material blessings, he proposes a spiritual reformulation. He not only promises circumstantial changes, he challenges an essential reinvention. Reflect. How many times have you felt that internal restlessness, that sensation, that there was something more, that subtle call for a more authentic expression of who you really are? That was not just a passing emotion. It was your soul trying to communicate, trying to guide you back to your true path, to your essential mission. You are more than your titles, more than your possessions, more than your achievements or failures, more than your physical appearance, more than your social roles. You are an eternal soul on a temporary journey, a spiritual being living a human experience, a unique expression of divine consciousness manifested in physical form. When was the last time you allowed yourself to be truly vulnerable? When was the last moment you removed all masks and simply existed, authentic and unfiltered? When was the last situation in which you chose truth over convenience, courage over comfort, growth over security? The life you live externally is only a reflection of the life you cultivate internally. Your relationships mirror the relationship you maintain with yourself. Your financial abundance reflects your relationship with the energy of prosperity. Your physical health manifests your internal harmony. Everything is connected. Everything is reflection. Everything is a mirror. If there are areas in your life that do not flourish, ask yourself, what limiting beliefs am I nurturing in these fields? What fears am I feeding in these dimensions? What patterns am I repeating in these spheres? External transformation begins with internal awareness. Many seek changes by trying to manipulate external circumstances without ever altering the internal causes. It's like trying to change the image reflected in the mirror by applying makeup to the mirror, instead of transforming the one who looks into it. True and lasting transformation always occurs from the inside out, never the reverse. Observe the thoughts that habitually traverse your mind. Are they thoughts of scarcity or abundance, of fear or confidence, of limitation or possibility, of criticism or acceptance? Your thoughts are not mere products of your mind. They are seeds planted in fertile soil which will eventually germinate and produce corresponding fruits in your external reality. You have gone through difficulties, that is undeniable, faced challenges that seemed insurmountable, endured burdens that seemed unbearable, withstood storms that threatened to sink you. But here you are, still breathing, still walking, still seeking. This is not coincidence. It is evidence of an inner strength that perhaps you yourself have not yet fully recognized. If you have gone through difficulties, but never completely lost faith, even when it was reduced to a small, flickering flame, in the strong wind of adversity, then you have already demonstrated a spiritual resilience that many will never develop in an entire lifetime. This strength did not come from nowhere. It has always been there, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be activated in its fullness. Ask yourself, what kept me standing when everything around me was crumbling? What gave me strength to continue when all evidence suggested giving up? What fed my hope when the horizon seemed covered by impenetrable clouds? In these answers, you will find valuable clues about your true nature, about your unshakable essence. If you have gone through difficulties, but never lost faith, comment, "I am strong and I will overcome." This is not just an affirmation. It is a recognition of your deepest truth, a declaration that echoes in visible and invisible dimensions, a spiritual positioning that activates forces beyond your current understanding. Reflect on the moments when you felt an inexplicable peace amid chaos, a surprising clarity amid confusion, an unexpected strength amid weakness. Those were not emotional accidents. They were glimpses of your true divine nature manifesting, reminding you of who you really are beyond temporary limitations. Many live like beggars sitting on treasure chests they don't know they possess. Many beg for crumbs when they are heirs to kingdoms. Many crawl when they could fly. Not because they lack potential, but because they don't know their true value, their authentic identity, their legitimate power. Archangel Michael asks you now, how long will you live below your possibilities? How long will you accept less than you deserve? How long will you be content with a fraction of what you were destined to experience? These are not rhetorical questions. They are invitations to a decision, calls for a positioning, challenges for a conscious choice. Your story until now has not been a mistake, not a detour, not a waste. Each experience, even the most painful, one served a greater purpose that perhaps only now begins to reveal itself. Like a mosaic seen from very close, where only disconnected fragments are visible, your life now begins to reveal the larger pattern when observed with the proper distance of spiritual perspective. That rejection that deeply hurt you, it was a necessary detour to put you on the right path. That loss that broke your heart, it was an essential emptying to create space for something greater. That failure that shook your confidence, It was a fundamental realignment to direct you to your true purpose. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was in vain. Nothing was without meaning. Every tear, every disappointment, every fall, everything was transformed into fuel for your ascension, into foundation for your reconstruction, into preparation for your manifestation. Reflect. How many times has what seemed to be your worst moment revealed itself, with time, to be the catalyst for your greatest transformation? How many times has what you considered your greatest tragedy proven subsequently to be your most potent springboard? How many times has what you interpreted as rejection ended up being, in reality, protection? This perspective is not mere consolation. It is spiritual wisdom. It is not simple positive reinterpretation. It is recognition of the cosmic intelligence operating in your life, of divine order manifesting even through apparent chaos, of transcendent purpose revealing itself even in moments that seemed purely random. Ask yourself, what stories have you repeatedly told yourself about your life, your abilities, your possibilities? Have these narratives expanded or limited your experience? Have they elevated or diminished your self-esteem? Have they connected you to or distanced you from your divine potential? The stories you tell repeatedly shape your perception, program. Your subconscious determine your limits. A story of victimization will produce experiences of powerlessness. A narrative of scarcity will manifest situations of lack. An account of inadequacy will attract rejections, not because the universe is cruel, but because the subconscious mind always works to confirm what it believes to be true. It's time to rewrite your stories. It's time to reformulate your narratives. It's time to reconsider your interpretations, not as an exercise in self-deception, but as a practice of alignment with higher truths, with broader perspectives, with more expansive possibilities. Archangel Michael invites you to look at your life not only with physical eyes, which see only the visible, only the apparent, only the superficial. He challenges you to contemplate your journey with the eyes of the soul, which perceive patterns, which recognize purposes, which capture meanings beyond appearances. If you could see your life from the celestial perspective, you would see not just isolated events but meaningful connections, not just random coincidences, but divine synchronicities, not just casual encounters, but destined intersections, not just arbitrary challenges, but carefully designed growth opportunities. Reflect deeply. What is your soul trying to learn through this earthly journey? What essential lessons have you come to experience? What fundamental qualities are you developing? What unique contributions are you destined to offer? These questions transcend mere career planning or life projects. They touch the essence of your spiritual mission, of your cosmic purpose. Many go through their entire lives without ever asking these fundamental questions. Many transition from childhood to old age without questioning the true meaning of their existence, the authentic purpose of their journey, the genuine contribution they came to offer. How can they find answers to questions they never formulated? How can they discover treasures they never sought? You were awakened to these essential inquiries not by chance, but by divine designation. You were sensitized to these fundamental reflections not by coincidence, but by celestial intervention. You were prepared for these deep contemplations not by randomness, but by transcendental purpose. Ask yourself, when do you feel most alive? In which activities do you lose track of time? What provokes in you a sensation of purpose and meaning? In these answers lie valuable clues about your true vocation, about your authentic calling, about your legitimate mission. Many seek their life mission in distant places, when it is often hidden in plain sight, in the natural abilities you consider, common in the talents you underestimate, in the passions you may have neglected. The extraordinary is rarely found in grandiose achievements, but in the authentic expression of what naturally flows through you. Observe how synchronicities increase when you act aligned with your true purpose. Notice how doors open more easily when you walk in the direction of your authentic vocation. Note how resistance decreases when you move in the flow of your genuine mission. These are not cosmic accidents. They are divine confirmations, celestial signs, angelic approvals. Now, look at your current life with radical honesty. Which aspects of it truly reflect who you are in essence? Which elements represent compromises you made with others' expectations? Which components were chosen by you, and which were simply accepted through inertia or fear of change? Archangel Michael does not wish for you to impulsively abandon everything. He invites you to a gradual awakening, to a conscious transition, to an intentional realignment. It's not about drastic revolution, but about consistent evolution. Not about dramatic rupture, but about significant adjustments. Not about escapism, but about authenticity. There are paths you have begun to travel that need to be completed. There are lessons you have initiated that need to be fully learned. There are spiritual contracts you have assumed that need to be honored. Wisdom lies in discerning between what should be transformed and what should be concluded, between what needs to be released and what deserves to be preserved. Ask yourself, if I knew I could not fail, what would I choose to do with my life? If all financial limitations were removed, how would I spend my days? If all external expectations were dissolved, what expression of myself would I prioritize? These questions open doors to visions of possibilities that your fear may have kept closed. Fear is the only darkness that truly exists. All other shadows are projections, illusions, temporary distortions of light. Fear is not an entity, it is an absence. Not a presence, it is a void. Not a force, it is a lack. Like darkness that cannot resist when light is turned on, fear cannot remain when love manifests. Examine your fears with compassion, not with judgment. Observe your insecurities with curiosity, not with condemnation. Contemplate your doubts with acceptance, not with rejection. These shadowy aspects do not define who you are. They merely point to areas that still await your conscious light, that still expect your loving attention. Your greatest fears often hide your greatest potentials. Your deepest insecurities often mask your most powerful gifts. Your most intense resistances commonly protect your most transformative truths. What you most fear facing is generally the portal to your greatest liberation. Ask yourself, what prevents me from living fully? What restricts me from loving completely? What limits me from creating abundantly? What blocks me from serving integrally? These questions are not invitations to self-flagellation, but to self-knowledge, not to self-punishment, but to self-liberation. Archangel Michael now reveals a truth that perhaps you have not yet fully understood. Your greatest obstacles are not outside you, but within. It is not external circumstances that determine your destiny, but your internal beliefs. It is not material conditions that define your limits, but your mental and emotional convictions. This is simultaneously the most challenging and the most liberating news you could receive. Challenging because it removes any possibility of victimization. You can no longer blame the world, people, or fate for your limitations. Liberating because it returns to you the power that has always been yours, the ability to transform your reality through the transformation of your consciousness. Carefully observe the limiting beliefs you have adopted throughout life. Some were absorbed in childhood. Others were reinforced by painful experiences. Still others were unconsciously accepted from the dominant culture. They may sound like absolute truths in your mind. People like me can't. And it's too late for me to. I don't have talent for this. I will never have the means to. These are not truths. They are programs. Not facts. They are interpretations. Not destinies. They are choices. And as choices, they can be undone, reprogrammed, rewritten. The pen that writes your destiny has always been in your hands, even when you believed the script was dictated by external forces. Ask yourself, what version of myself do I choose to be from now on? What story do I decide to write from this point forward? What future do I opt to create starting today? These are not rhetorical questions. They are instruments of power, tools of co-creation, mechanisms of manifestation. Archangel Michael now reveals to you that you have always been a co-creator of your reality, not a mere spectator. You have always been an artist painting the picture of your life, not just a figure within it. You have always been an author writing your story, not just a character in it. This creative consciousness is not something you need to conquer. It is something you need to remember, not a skill you must develop. It is a nature you must recognize, not a state you need to achieve. It is a truth you must accept. You have already exercised this creative power countless times, albeit perhaps unconsciously. You have already manifested circumstances through your habitual thoughts, attracted people through your emotional vibrations, created experiences through your dominant beliefs. The question now is, will you continue creating by default, or will you begin to create by design? Creating by default is allowing unconscious mental habits, unexamined emotions, and unquestioned beliefs to determine your reality. Creating by design is taking the reins of your thoughts, consciously choosing your emotions, and intentionally selecting your beliefs to manifest the life you truly desire. Reflect. Have you been living by default or by design? Have you been creating your life consciously, or have you allowed it to be shaped by forces you don't even recognize? Have you assumed the role of protagonist in your journey, or have you been content to be a supporting actor in stories written by others? Archangel Michael now shows you that each thought you nurture is a seed planted in the garden of your life. Each emotion you cultivate is water that irrigates these seeds. Each word you pronounce is a spell that energizes these seeds. Each action you perform is sunlight that makes these seeds grow. If you have been harvesting bitter fruits in some areas of your life, don't blame the soil, don't blame the climate, don't blame the seasons. Examine the seeds you have been planting consciously or unconsciously. The law of sowing and reaping does not fail, does not make exceptions, does not grant privileges. It simply reflects with impeccable precision what was sown. Ask yourself, what seeds have I been planting in my mental garden? What quality of thoughts have I been habitually nurturing? What kind of emotions have I been regularly cultivating? What pattern of words have I been repeatedly pronouncing? The answer to these questions will reveal much about what you have been manifesting in your external reality. Now is the moment to consciously assume your role as divine gardener. It's time to remove the weeds of negative thoughts, uproot the invasive plants of destructive emotions, prune the unproductive branches of limiting words. It's time to prepare the soil for new seeds, seeds of possibility, seeds of abundance, seeds of love, seeds of purpose. The soil of your consciousness is infinitely fertile. There is no limit to what you can cultivate in it. There is no restriction to what you can manifest through it. There is no boundary to what you can create from it. The only question is, what seeds will you choose to plant consciously from this moment forward? Now that you have contemplated your journey and reflected on your deepest truths, the time has come to awaken the spiritual warrior that dwells within you. This is not a warrior who seeks conflict, but one who faces challenges with unwavering courage. Not one who sheds blood, but one who transmutes fear into power. Not one who subjugates others, but one who conquers themselves. Archangel Michael, patron of warriors of light, now approaches even closer to your being. Feel his majestic presence, his quiet power, his serene strength. He who commands celestial legions, who confronts the densest darkness without ever losing his brightness, now comes to share with you the secrets of true spiritual strength. First, understand this. Your most important battle was never against external circumstances, difficult people, or oppressive systems. Your most crucial war has always been internal, against your own fears, against your own doubts, against your own self-imposed limitations. It is on this inner battlefield that your most significant victories will be won. Contemplate for a moment the inspiring stories of those who transformed the greatest adversities into springboards for extraordinary achievements. Think of Helen Keller, who, deprived of sight and hearing since childhood, became one of the most eloquent voices of her generation. Remember Nelson Mandela, who converted 27 years of imprisonment into a school of wisdom that prepared him to lead and heal a divided nation. Recall Viktor Frankl, who transmuted the unimaginable suffering of concentration camps into a philosophy of life that brought light to millions. These extraordinary beings did not have favorable external circumstances. In fact, They faced obstacles that would seem insurmountable to most. What distinguished them was not the absence of challenges, but their response to them. Not the lack of suffering, but the meaning they extracted from it. Not the non-existence of barriers, but the determination with which they overcame them. Archangel Michael now reveals to you the first principle of the spiritual warrior. Your strength does not come from the absence of fear, but from the ability to act despite it. Courage is not feeling fear. It's feeling fear and still moving forward. Bravery is not trembling. It's trembling and still taking the next step. Valor is not doubting. It's doubting and still proceeding. All great achievers, all transformers of realities, all manifestors of extraordinary visions felt fear. They experienced doubt. They knew hesitation. What differentiated them was their refusal to allow these temporary emotional states to determine their permanent actions. Ask yourself, how many opportunities have I let pass due to fear of failure? How many possibilities have I failed to explore due to fear of the unknown? How many talents have I failed to express due to fear of judgment from others? How many connections have I failed to establish due to apprehension of rejection? Fear never completely disappears from the human experience. It merely changes form and focus as you evolve. The goal is not to eliminate it, but to transcend it, not to suppress it, but to transform it, not to deny it, but to integrate it as fuel for your courage. Archangel Michael now shares the second principle of the spiritual warrior. Persistence is more powerful than innate talent. Consistent determination overcomes natural ability without commitment. Unwavering dedication transcends innate gifts without discipline. Systematic perseverance surpasses genius without persistence. Observe nature, and you will see this principle in action. It is not the hardest rock that shapes the landscape, but the water that flows persistently day after day, year after year, century after century. It is not the tree that grows fastest, that produces the most resistant wood, but the one that repeatedly faces storms, strengthening its fibers with each challenge. It is not necessarily the strongest animal that survives, but the one that most persistently adapts to changes in its environment. Think of the human examples that confirm this truth. Thomas Edison, who experimented with more than 10,000 prototypes before creating a functional light bulb. J.K. Rowling, who received dozens of rejections before her manuscript about a young wizard was accepted. Michael Jordan, who was cut from his high school basketball team before becoming a sports legend. What distinguished these people was not primarily their exceptional talent, although they certainly possessed it, but their absolute refusal to give up. Not their unquestionable genius, although they undoubtedly had it, but their unbreakable determination. Not their extraordinary gift, although they undeniably manifested it, but their unwavering perseverance. Ask yourself, how many dreams have I prematurely given up on? How many initiatives have I abandoned at the first sign of difficulty? How many projects have I left unfinished because results didn't come as quickly as I expected? How many talents have I failed to fully develop because the process of perfection required more persistence than I was willing to invest? Archangel Michael now reveals to you an often ignored truth. Almost all overnight successes are, in reality, the result of years of consistent work that no one saw, of countless hours of practice that no one witnessed, of numerous failures that no one recorded. What the world eventually celebrates as a sudden miracle almost always represents the culmination of a long journey of silent persistence. The good news is that persistence is a quality you can consciously cultivate, regardless of your natural tendencies. It's a virtue you can deliberately develop, despite your previous conditioning. It's a strength you can intentionally fortify, notwithstanding your prior experiences. How do you cultivate this persistence? By establishing clear goals that resonate with your essential purpose. By dividing grand objectives into manageable steps that can be implemented daily. By celebrating small progress instead of waiting only for the final accomplishment. By finding meaning in the process, not just the result. By building support systems that will sustain you in moments of doubt. By regularly visualizing the end goal, keeping vivid the vision of what you are creating. Archangel Michael now reveals the third principle of the spiritual warrior. Your greatest source of power does not come from your own strengths, but from your connection with the divine. The true spiritual warrior does not fight alone. They serve as a conduit for forces that transcend their individual capacities. Consider the words of great spiritual leaders who changed the course of history. Mahatma Gandhi, who liberated a nation through nonviolence, frequently affirmed that his strength came not from himself, but from his connection with the divine. Martin Luther King Jr., who transformed the racial paradigm of a society, regularly declared that his power derived not from his own capabilities, but from his transcendental faith. Mother Teresa, who revolutionized care for the poorest of the poor, consistently attributed her achievements not to her own resources, but to the divine source that guided her. This is not just inspiring rhetoric. It's a practical reality that you can personally experience. When you consciously align with forces that transcend your limited ego, when you intentionally connect with the universal source that sustains all life, when you deliberately harmonize with the greater purpose that brought you to this existence, you access a reservoir of power that goes far beyond your individual capabilities. How do you establish this connection? Through daily meditation that quiets the mind and opens the heart. Through sincere prayer that transcends memorized formulas to become an authentic dialogue with the divine. Through gratitude practices that tune your vibrational frequency to universal abundance. Through selfless service that dissolves the boundaries of the separate ego. Through regular contact with nature that reminds you of your belonging to something infinitely greater than yourself. Archangel Michael now shows you that there is no real separation between you and the divine source. There is only the illusion of separation created by the conditioned mind, by limited senses, by restricted perception. Like a wave that temporarily perceives itself as a separate entity, momentarily forgetting that it is an inseparable expression of the entire ocean, so you may experience the illusion of isolation, of autonomy, of independence from the whole. This illusion is not a mistake. It's part of the divine design that allows the unique experience of individuality. It's not a flaw. It's an intentional feature that enables the journey of self-discovery. It's not a problem to be eliminated. It's a temporary veil meant to be gradually lifted as you awaken to your true nature. Declare now with faith, "My blessing has already arrived." This is not a cry into the void. It's an affirmation that resonates through dimensions, a positioning that aligns your consciousness with the abundance that already exists in potential, a declaration that tunes your energy to the reality you choose to manifest. Archangel Michael now shares the fourth principle of the spiritual warrior. Your greatest battle is not against external enemies, but against discouragement itself. It is not objective obstacles that prevent most people from realizing their potential. It is the subjective disposition to give up in the face of these obstacles. Consider how many times throughout human history, what seemed impossible became reality simply because someone refused to accept established limits. Flying was impossible until the Wright brothers persisted after multiple failures. Running a mile in less than 4 minutes was physiologically impossible until Roger Bannister broke that barrier, and within a year, 16 other runners accomplished the same feat. Rescuing thousands of children from concentration camps during the Holocaust was impossible until Irina Sendler found creative ways to do it, repeatedly risking her own life. The impossible is often merely the untried with sufficient persistence. The unreachable is commonly merely the unpursued with adequate creativity. The unattainable is habitually merely the unwanted with appropriate intensity. Ask yourself, what limits have I accepted without question? What impossibilities have I embraced without sufficient investigation? What barriers have I respected without adequate contestation? Often, what we consider absolute truths are merely collective beliefs that remain unchallenged for generations. Archangel Michael now reveals to you that in all fields of human achievement, science, art, medicine, technology, sports, business, spirituality, the greatest advances came from people who questioned the fundamental assumptions of their era, who challenged the uncontested truths of their time, who refused to accept the limits established by consensus. What seems fixed rarely is. What appears immutable frequently isn't. What presents itself as an absolute limitation commonly reveals itself as a temporary barrier when approached with persistence, creativity, and unconditional faith. You begin to notice the subtle signs of this transition, synchronicities increasing in frequency and meaning, doors opening where previously there were only walls, people arriving with unexpected opportunities, resources materializing from unforeseen sources, inspiring ideas emerging with increasing clarity, renewed energy flowing where before there was chronic exhaustion. These are not random occurrences or meaningless coincidences. They are manifestations of a divine pattern developing in your life, evidence of a celestial design unfolding in your experience, confirmations of a transcendental plan materializing in your reality. The spiritual law of sowing and reaping is as infallible as the physical law of gravity. Just as an object thrown upward inevitably returns to earth, so too does every seed of kindness, generosity, forgiveness, persistence, and faith that you've planted inevitably produce its corresponding harvest at the appropriate time. Many give up shortly before the harvest, abandoning the field when the first sprouts are only beginning to emerge from the soil. But you persisted. Many lose faith during the growth period, doubting when no fruit is yet visible on the tree. But you trusted. Many succumb to impatience during the ripening season, wanting to artificially force what only time can naturally perfect. But you waited, and now your time is coming. Your season is approaching. Your manifestation is materializing. The heavens honor your perseverance, recognize your persistence, reward your patience. Archangel Michael now shares a transcendental truth. You are entering a new cycle of accelerated manifestation, where the distance between thought and reality, between intention and manifestation, between decree and materialization will significantly diminish. What previously might have taken years to materialize may now manifest in months. What formerly demanded months of development may now concretize in weeks. What in the past required weeks of gestation may now realize itself in days. This acceleration is not magical or miraculous. It is the result of your increasing alignment with the cosmic laws of manifestation, of your progressive harmonization with the divine principles of co-creation, of your expanded attunement with the universal rhythms of materialization. The more you consciously align with your higher purpose, the more quickly your aligned desires manifest. The more you intentionally harmonize your thoughts with your divine essence, the more readily your congruent visualizations materialize. The more you deliberately attune your emotions with your spiritual nature, the more instantaneously your resonant energies concretize. With this accelerated power of manifestation comes an expanded responsibility, like a more finely tuned musical instrument that reproduces each touch with greater precision. So your more aligned consciousness will manifest each thought with increased effectiveness, each emotion with intensified potency, each intention with multiplied force. This invites a loving vigilance over your mental and emotional states, not with rigidly judgmental self-criticism, but with compassionately directive self-orientation. Not for self-punitive repression of each less elevated thought, but for loving redirection of energy toward creations more aligned with your greater good and the good of all. As you exercise this increased responsibility, you will discover that it is not a heavy burden, but a natural expression of your expanded consciousness. Not an arduous task, but a spontaneous reflection of your broadened understanding. Not an oppressive obligation, but an automatic manifestation of your deepened wisdom. Archangel Michael now reveals another dimension of your triumphant celebration. You are not only being individually transformed, you are participating in a collective transformation, a planetary elevation, a global evolution of human consciousness. Each elevated thought you cultivate contributes to the elevation of the collective mental field. Each refined emotion you nurture collaborates with the purification of the shared emotional field. Each conscious action you perform cooperates with the transformation of the common behavioral field. Each aligned choice you make participates in the reorientation of the joint decisional field. You are not merely a passive beneficiary of human evolution, you are an active participant, a conscious collaborator, an intentional co-creator of this divine unfolding. Your personal transformation is not an isolated event in a separate existential bubble. It is a significant contribution to the collective metamorphosis of humanity. Archangel Michael now shows you the image of a luminous web enveloping the entire planet, with points of more intense light representing each human being who has awakened to higher levels of consciousness. These points are not uniformly distributed, but neither are they isolated. They are connected to each other by filaments of light that strengthen and sustain the higher vibration. You are one of these points of light, and your specific radiation is irreplaceable. Your particular frequency is unmatched. Your singular contribution is indispensable. No one else can offer exactly what you bring to this collective web. No one else can manifest precisely your unique expression of divine consciousness. No one else can represent exactly your specific facet of universal presence. As more human, beings awaken and elevate their vibrational frequency. This web strengthens, intensifies, and expands, eventually reaching a critical mass that will catalyze an irreversible transformation in planetary consciousness. Each individual awakening, including yours, directly contributes to this collective alchemy. The celebration of your personal victory, therefore, is not just a private event, it is a contribution to the universal celebration of human evolution. Your individual triumph is not only an isolated achievement, it is an integral part of the collective advancement. Your particular transformation is not merely a solitary accomplishment, it is an essential component of the global transmutation. Archangel Michael now illuminates another dimension of your triumph. The transformation you have experienced is not just intellectual or emotional, but integral, affecting every level of your being. Your consciousness has not simply been expanded, it has been fundamentally reconfigured. Your heart has not only been opened, it has been deeply transformed. Your body has not merely been adjusted, it has been energetically renewed. This integral transformation allows manifestations in all dimensions of your experience. In the material dimension, you will attract resources, opportunities, and conditions that reflect your elevated vibrational frequency, not as a reward for good behavior, but as a natural materialization of your energetic alignment. In the relational dimension, you will magnetize connections, partnerships, and communities that resonate with your authentic essence, not as a result of social manipulation, but as a spontaneous reflection of your genuine self-expression. In the professional dimension, you will create contributions, services, and achievements that express your unique gifts, not as a consequence of external competition, but as a natural manifestation of your internal vocation. In the health dimension, you will experience increasing vitality, resilience, and well-being, not as a product of purely physical interventions, but as a result of your amplified harmony between body, mind, and spirit. In the creative dimension, you will channel inspirations, innovations, and expressions that reveal beauty and meaning, not as fruits of forced effort, but as natural emanations of your connection with the universal source. In the spiritual dimension, you will live intuitions, understandings, and revelations that illuminate your path, not as acquisitions of the intellectual mind, but as unfoldings of your expanded consciousness. This integral transformation does not happen instantaneously in its external manifestation, although its internal activation may be sudden, like a seed that germinates at a specific moment, but requires time to develop into a full tree, like a conception that occurs at a precise instant, but needs months to result in complete birth. So your transformation, although activated at a defined point, unfolds progressively in material expression through linear time. Archangel Michael now invites you to a powerful practice. Consciously visualize your transformed life, not as an exercise in escapist fantasy, but as a tool of active co-creation, not as a technique of denial of present reality, but as an instrument of manifestation of future reality. Not as a method of escape from the current moment, but as a practice of alignment with your divine potential. Close your eyes now and imagine your transformed life. Imagine your mind light, free from limiting thoughts, open to infinite possibilities, receptive to innovative ideas, clear in its perception, sharp in its discernment, creative in its expression. Visualize your heart at peace, released from past hurts, open to unconditional love, receptive to authentic connection, compassionate without exhaustion, loving without dependency, joyful without conditioning. Contemplate your renewed soul, aligned with your higher purpose, attuned to your divine mission, connected with your eternal essence, guided by transcendental wisdom, nourished by universal truth, sustained by infinite presence. Imagine your vitalized body, pulsing with balanced energy, functioning in perfect harmony, manifesting radiant health, moving with natural grace, resting in deep peace, serving as a suitable instrument for your spiritual expression. Visualize your harmonized relationships based on mutual respect, grounded in reciprocal authenticity, characterized by clear communication, marked by genuine support, defined by freedom within commitment, distinguished by shared growth. Contemplate your divinized work, expressing your unique gifts, serving real needs, producing meaningful results, flourishing in sustainable abundance, developing in continuous evolution, manifesting as an authentic contribution. Take a deep breath and feel this energy of integral transformation. This is not just a distant possibility. It is a reality in the process of manifestation. Not merely a future dream, it is a truth in current unfolding. Not simply an eventual hope, it is a certainty in progressive materialization. This visualization is not a technique of psychological autosuggestion, although it certainly positively influences your psyche. It is a practice of vibrational alignment with the reality that already exists in potential, tuning your personal frequency to the divine pattern that awaits manifestation through you. Archangel Michael now reveals another aspect of your triumph. You are transcending the consciousness of scarcity that predominates in the world, awakening to the truth of unlimited abundance that is your divine birthright. Scarcity was never an absolute reality. It has always been a limited perception, a restrictive interpretation, a conditioned belief. Abundance has always been the fundamental truth, the natural expression of divine infinity, the spontaneous manifestation of universal creativity, the spontaneous flow of cosmic generosity. If you felt this word in your heart, if this message resonated at some deep level of your being, if this call awakened some vibration of recognition in your soul, write, "My victory is certain." Your victory is not just possible, it is inevitable. Not merely probable, it is certain. Not simply an aspiration, it is a reality in the process of manifestation. If you believe this message is for you, if you feel these words have a special meaning for your life at this precise moment, if you recognize that you were guided here by a force greater than yourself, then know that this is your confirmation. This is your sign. This is your evidence that Archangel Michael truly ordered that this message reach you. From this moment on, observe each day with new eyes, attentive to the signs of transformation. Be alert to the gradual manifestations of this divine revolution in your life. Keep your heart sensitive to the subtle evidence that heaven is operating in your favor. And remember, when Archangel Michael decrees a transformation, nothing in heaven or earth can prevent it from manifesting for those who receive it with faith. No contrary force, no adverse circumstance, no human resistance can stop the fulfillment of this celestial decree. Your transformation has already begun. Your miracle is already underway. Your blessing has already been released. Your healing is already happening. Your prosperity is already on its way. Your restoration is already in process. Your elevation has already been determined. Receive, believe, trust, advance. This is your hour. This is your time. This is your season of divine manifestation.